Hi Meenakshi, thank you for joining me today.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Did you find the place okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right, so before we get into anything today, I'd like to go over confidentiality with you since it is our first time meeting. Have you heard of confidentiality before?
Um, well, I guess it basically means that whatever I'm going to share with you, um, it should be stay between us, and you're not going to disclose that information with anyone else.
Yeah, no, that's it exactly. There's just a few limitations to confidentiality. So if you have expressed imminent harm to yourself or others, I am liable to tell somebody about that. Also, if you have expressed harm towards youth, kids under 16 years old, or elderly individuals, more so those vulnerable people, we would also intervene with that. And one last thing would be if I am subpoenaed to court and I have to share my files, that would be another cause for me to break confidentiality. But other than that, it's strictly between us here in this room. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions about it?
No.
Great. So why don't you tell me a little bit why you're here today?
There's a lot going on in my life. It's been 2 months. I'm working um, at a non-profit organization here in Peterborough, and I'm a full-time student also. Things have not been going so well at my office. There are some difficult co-workers, and I'm finding it really challenging to get along with them, and it is affecting my academic performance, and yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing a lot of different things at the same time and you're trying to satisfy a lot of different roles, and that can be stressful. And you mentioned work being difficult in terms of coworkers. Could you tell me a little bit more about that, the kind of things that you're finding stressful about it?
Uh, well, the permanent staff there, it used to be very nice in the initial days, but later on I've observed that they put off their work on me and expect me to complete their work also. Um, just so overwhelming, and I I certainly don't expect this sort of behavior from others. Yeah, so it's exhausting me.
Yeah. So you're finding they're putting their workload onto you, and in addition to the work that you already have. So that's a lot to do. And do you ever take your work home with you, or do you keep it at work?
Oh yeah.
You're taking it home with you?
Yeah.
So now you're also managing some work from your employment, also with your homework, and how do you balance all of this stuff at home?
Well, that is why I'm here.
Yeah.
I just feel unable to balance that professional commitments with my school commitments. It's affecting to the extent that I missed a couple of deadlines for my assignments, and that's really an aspect that is making me worried.
Yeah, is that new for you? Are you usually very on top of deadlines and everything?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is new.
This is new.
Okay. And how's that been affecting you? Does it make you feel any more anxious about school, or has it?
I guess it just kill your motivation to be in a present state of mind in the class and pay attention to the lectures and seminars, and it eventually affect your academic performance, and that is what happened to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you often distracted when you're in class or at work because you're like thinking of other things that you're worrying about?
Yeah.
And how are you sleeping and eating? Is it affecting other areas of your life? Yeah.
You observed it very rightly. A couple of times I feel sleepless and doesn't feel any motivation or willingness to get up early in the morning or go to school.
Right.
Yeah, it's all because of that stress that's going on in my professional life.
Right. Okay. Well, So my job here today is kind of to help you start understanding all of this stuff, and maybe we can work together and figure out some solutions or coping techniques that we can hopefully help you to move forward and get your work and your school and knock everything in order a little bit, make you feel a bit better. And I'm just being very transparent with you. That's kind of what we're working towards. Do you have any current coping mechanisms that you're using right now?
I feel super anxious. I just try deep breathing and just distracting from the current stressful situation by going out for a walk.
Okay, so you're doing some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long do you find it takes you from when you get anxious to kind of calm down again and be productive with the stuff that you need to get done?
Half an hour.
Half an hour. Okay, that's pretty good. So have you was it kind of you explored different things, or you've already had these things like a walk and deep breathing?
I'm using these skills like for a while now because I know that these are the things that have been proved really helpful to me, making me calm. So, but these things are being helpful to a certain extent because the balance of my work and school is still not there.
Right.
I want to establish that balance.
Okay. Yeah. And it sounds, basically you've been able to maintain a balance until everything's become piling on top of each other, and it's so, well, you've been doing good. You've been doing very well, it sounds like. You're just getting a little bit overwhelmed, and that's perfectly normal. We can't go through life feeling content all the time. Sometimes things happen and pile up. But, you came here pretty quickly, it sounds like, after everything that's happened. So you want to stay on top of your stuff, and that's great. You should feel very good about that. Yeah.
Thank you for instilling that hope in me and encouraging me. Because you know what? Positive words like this in a situation of stress and that emotional crisis do help a lot. Thank you so much.
Right. Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot to me that I can make you feel better, because that's, I see somebody who's working really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anybody around, any friends, anybody who you talk to about this stuff at all?
Well, I've been in contact with my parents through phone and texting, but I know that it's not a substitute of their physical presence. So there are times.
Oh, sorry, they're not around here?
No.
No. Okay.
So there are times when I feel loneliness, and that loneliness sometimes intensify in the situation of stress.
Right. So in addition to all your stress, you're feeling lonely during these times, and it's not helping so much.
Yes.
Have you thought about maybe surrounding yourself when you're doing things like work or homework, maybe going to a busy library or cafe, being around people?
Well, I've made a couple of good friends in my class.
Oh, good.
And they are really source of support for me. Like talking to them and sharing my issues that have been going on in my life does really make me feel better.
Right.
So they are the support for me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you do work with them sometimes? And
oh yes, yeah. They are very helpful. They never say no to me if I ask for any help from them.
Yeah.
So in that sense, they are.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So you're just kind of missing family right now. Yeah. Is there any way that you're able to visit? Do you ever visit them throughout the year at all for holidays or?
No, but I'm planning to visit there after this semester.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Give yourself a little bit of break and see your
Yeah.
family. Yeah, totally. That's a good idea. And okay, so you've got the foundations everywhere that you need. We just need to work on them kind of and work on how you're going to be able to manage all of your stress. In terms of taking your work home with you, we talked about that earlier. Do you necessarily need to do this, or are you kind of taking that on your own?
I think when your supervisor and the staff who's been there for a long time pursue you to take the stuff, then being a fresh employer,
Right.
you can't say no to them.
Yeah.
So it's not that this is something I want, but I have to do this under their, yeah.
Yeah, so you're feeling that pressure to
Yeah.
please your employer.
Yes.
Totally.
Mhm.
Have you heard of self-care before?
Yeah.
How would you describe self-care? What does it look like for you?
For me, any activity that brings calm to my emotional sense of well-being or physical well-being is self-care.
Yeah, that's great. And oftentimes when we get really stressed and busy, self-care is the first thing to go out the window. And we really need to remember that self-care is important in order to maximize how we're feeling, but also kind of how we're getting our things done.
Yeah.
Because you're struggling to meet deadlines and everything, and I can see how that would affect your self-care, because you're trying to get everything done, and it's kind of playing off of each other. You're trying to do things, and it's also you're not taking care of yourself in certain ways. And sometimes self-care isn't always just, taking a hot bath and relaxing. Sometimes it's understanding that you kind of need more boundaries in terms of work and school and home. Because I asked you about taking your work home because that's often what people do, and it causes them to feel overworked or overwhelmed because you can't separate home from work. So if there's something that we can figure out that might help you feel that your home isn't invaded all the time with work, do you maybe have a schedule, or would you think it would be helpful maybe to set a schedule up? Because if you feel like you have to take work home with you, maybe if you put it in a time slot and do it, at a library or out of the house, it's still making you feel like home is home. Does that make sense?
It's a good strategy to do your assignments away from home, just to get a sense of separation from that stuff that is being done at the home. So yeah, it's a good strategy.
Yeah. And also, I know you're kind of hesitant to talk to your boss about, but do you think maybe you could talk to a boss or a coworker about their experiences with, because I'm sure everybody's kind of gone through what you're feeling at the workplace, and if other people are putting their workload on you, that's not really in the job description, I'm assuming. You have your own job and roles, and could you talk to some people about that, or anybody at the workplace?
I can, but I find it really difficult to bring my personal experiences with coworkers and with boss and sharing it with someone else working there, because it can be really, it can pose some of the issues for me at the workplace.
Yeah.
So I'm mindful of that aspect also. But I will give it a thought to this, but sharing this experience with someone at the workplace.
Okay, well, we're getting close to the end of our time together today. So moving forward, if you would like to set up another appointment for next week, if you're finding this helpful, maybe we can leave with some type of goal to work towards, and then meet up next week and see how that's gone for you. So what's like a certain thing that, because we mentioned a lot of things today, we talked about school and work, and what's something that you really feel beneficial to work on at this point?
I guess distinguishing the time slots for my work and for my assignments.
Okay.
And then gaining the skill of being vocal and more expressive to the employers regarding my concerns.
Okay.
Will really help me.
Okay. So that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about maybe this week going forward, you look at your schedule and you write it all out, and then bring it back, and we can sit together next week and look at it and kind of manage together your work and your relaxation time. I think that'll be one step towards the right direction. And then maybe next week we can start working on how to approach coworkers and your boss, because that's a big thing all on its own. So maybe
Yeah.
we can focus solely on that next week.
Okay.
Would that work for you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do you have any other questions or concerns before we? No, you're all settled?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing you again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.